What if a single hour held the key to everything you've been waiting for? Not a lifetime, not a decade, not even a year, just 60 minutes each day. Most people underestimate how much change can unfold when time is directed with intention. Yet, history proves that consistent focus, even in small doses, reshapes lives. It isn't about finding more hours in the day. It's about taking command of the one you already have. Because 60 deliberate minutes, repeated daily, become a force stronger than talent, luck, or circumstance. Think of it like this. 1 focused hour each day equals 7 hours a week, nearly 30 in a month, and more than 300 in a year. That's the equivalent of 2.5 months of full-time effort, carved out of thin air, without changing anything else in your schedule. Imagine what you could construct with that kind of hidden treasure. The truth is, people rarely fail because they lack opportunity. They fail because they scatter their attention. They let time leak away into distractions and diversions. But when you invest just 1 sacred hour into your future, you are not simply doing a task. You are building yourself. You are proving to your mind that your vision is stronger than your moods. Consider the story of a young man named Thomas Edison. Before the world knew his name, before light bulbs illuminated cities, he gave himself daily sessions of focused experimentation. Each evening, while others drifted in comfort, he labored 1 hour longer, studying, testing, refining. That discipline, that commitment to a single hour, created the foundation for inventions that changed the planet. So I ask you, what are you doing with your extra 60 minutes? Are you spending it passively, or are you shaping it into the life you long for? Because your dreams are not hidden in the far-off future. They are tucked inside an hour, waiting for you to claim them. 1 hour of writing becomes a book. 1 hour of training becomes strength. 1 hour of learning becomes mastery. But you must choose the target. Scatter your efforts, and the hour dissolves. Focus it, and you create momentum that multiplies. Great achievers aren't always the most gifted. They are simply the ones who concentrate on one thing until it blossoms. A single seed, watered daily, eventually feeds entire forests. But it starts with the patience to tend to it, hour by hour. Ask yourself now, what desire have you placed on the shelf because it seemed too big, too distant? What if it didn't require 10 years of waiting? What if it only required 1 steady hour each day? Discipline is not a talent some are born with. It is a muscle anyone can strengthen. Each time you choose your sacred hour, you tear down weakness and rebuild strength. You forge a new identity brick by brick, moment by moment. Think of an athlete preparing for the Olympics. She doesn't wait for motivation to strike. She doesn't rely on mood. Every morning, whether the sky is gray or golden, she laces her shoes, shows up, and gives her hour. Over months and years, those hours transform into power, resilience, and victory. That is what your hour does for you. It is not small. It is everything. It teaches your brain who is in charge. It reminds your body that you are the leader of your destiny. There was once a man who began his mornings not with scrolling, not with chatter, but with a declaration of who he was becoming. He spoke aloud his chosen identity, not who he had been yesterday, but who he had decided to be tomorrow. And he repeated it every day for 1 solid hour. In time, his self-image shifted, his confidence expanded, and his reality caught up with his vision. That is the power of 1 sacred hour. It reconstructs your future from the inside out. But I know what you're thinking. What if I stumble? What if I break the rhythm? What if I can't keep it going? My friend, the greater risk is not stumbling. It is never beginning. It is allowing the hours of your life to be consumed by noise instead of purpose. The world does not ask if you are ready. It simply moves forward. And the man or woman who has trained in the silence of 1 daily hour is always prepared. Because true greatness is not built in bursts of energy. It is carved in quiet, consistent victories. Victories you win when no one claps. Victories that feel invisible at first. Victories that, over time, turn into strength unshakable by doubt or delay. So take the hour. Protect it like a sacred ritual. Guard it as fiercely as you would an appointment with destiny. Do not give it to distractions, to gossip, to meaningless wandering. This is your altar, your cathedral, your training ground. Light no candles. Make no ceremony. Simply sit, stand, write, train, study, or pray with full devotion. This hour belongs to your becoming, and the one who keeps showing up for it, day after day, is unstoppable. Remember this. 1 hour may look small, but over weeks it becomes a mountain. Over months, it becomes a fortress. Over years, it becomes a legacy. And it all begins now, with the hour in your hands today. Time itself is neutral. It flows whether you use it or not. But the moment you give even 1 hour of it intention, you transform it from ordinary into extraordinary. That's the difference between people who drift and people who rise. They give meaning to their minutes. It's not about cramming more into your schedule. It's about infusing purpose into what you already have. 1 sacred hour becomes a container, and what you pour inside shapes who you are becoming. If you dedicate 60 minutes each day to a vision, you are rehearsing your future in advance. You are practicing not just skills, but identity. You are saying to yourself, I am someone who shows up. I am someone who builds, even when no one watches. Take, for example, Vincent van Gogh. Before the world recognized his art, he spent countless solitary hours sketching, painting, and practicing his craft. His hours were not glamorous. They were quiet, unseen, sometimes lonely, but every brushstroke laid down in those hidden hours carried him closer to mastery. The galleries and praise came later. The strength was built in silence. That's how true transformation works. It doesn't roar. It whispers, steadily, hour after hour. Most people imagine greatness as sudden. An explosion of talent, a lucky break, a lightning strike of opportunity. But real greatness is compounded effort. It is the invisible hours that pile up until they cannot be ignored. Think of it like laying bricks. 1 brick, by itself, looks like nothing. It feels almost meaningless. But place it carefully, then place another tomorrow, and another the next day. After weeks, you look back and see a wall. After months, a structure. After years, a fortress. Your daily hour is your brick. Place it faithfully, honor it consistently, and over time, you will stand before a life you built with your own hands. But here's the beauty. This isn't just about productivity. It's not only about goals and checklists. This hour is about alignment, about returning to who you are at the deepest level. Because without alignment, you drift. Without direction, you react instead of led. But when you take an hour to sit with your thoughts, write your vision, train your body, or nurture your spirit, you bring your compass back to true north. 1 hour of clarity is more valuable than 10 hours of chaos. Consider Mahatma Gandhi. Long before leading movements that would reshape nations, he devoted daily time to silence, to reflection, to prayer. He guarded that time as sacred, not for show, not for applause, but to realign his mind with his principles. And when the storms of history came, that inner strength guided him. That is what your hour does. It is not just work, it is alignment. It is not just practice, it is preparation. It is not just habit, it is identity. And here is something many forget. Progress is not only about pushing forward, it is also about restoring. Your sacred hour can be a place of peace, a moment to breathe, to reflect, to recharge. Growth is not just effort. It is also clarity, balance, and wholeness. Imagine a young mother, exhausted from her responsibilities, yet each evening, After her children slept, she gave herself one quiet hour, not to clean more, not to work more, but to write letters to her future self, thoughts, dreams, reflections. Years later, those writings became a source of strength she returned to in hard times. That hour did not just improve her productivity, it kept her soul alive. So remember, your sacred hour is not always about doing more. Sometimes it's about becoming more. And yes, excuses will try to invade. They will sound reasonable. I've had a long day. I'll start tomorrow. One day doesn't matter. But excuses are clever illusions. Tomorrow never arrives. The only way to break free is to guard your hour as non-negotiable. Because dreams don't vanish overnight. They slip away through delay, through postponing, through waiting for the perfect moment. But there is no perfect moment. There is only this hour. Every hour you keep builds strength. Every hour you skip weakens resolve. Discipline grows like a muscle, through repetition. And each time you choose your hour, you reinforce to yourself, I am someone who honors my vision. Think of Serena Williams. From the time she was a child, she gave herself daily practice. Sometimes before sunrise, sometimes after dark. Her peers might have had more talent, but few had her consistency. That hour, repeated thousands of times, built not just a champion, but a legend. That is what your hour can do, not because it is grand, but because it is faithful. 1 hour can be your classroom. 1 hour can be your training ground. 1 hour can be your sanctuary. And over time, that 1 hour will speak louder than excuses, louder than moods, louder than circumstance. So let me ask you again, are you giving your hour to distractions, or are you investing it in your future? Because the answer to that question shapes everything. Your hour is not small. It is not ordinary. It is the seed of transformation, the birthplace of destiny, the foundation of legacy. So claim it, protect it, use it, because if you can command 1 hour, you can command your entire life. Most people chase motivation like it's fuel. They wait for inspiration to arrive, hoping it will carry them forward. But motivation is a guest. It comes and goes. Discipline, however, is a foundation. It is the bedrock on which true freedom is built. When you commit to 1 sacred hour every day, you are not waiting for a mood. You are building a standard. You are saying, my future matters more than my feelings. That choice is power. Discipline is not punishment. It is liberation. It means you are no longer a servant to impulse. You are no longer tossed around by emotions. You have chosen to live by design, not by accident. Think of Michelangelo chiseling the statue of David. He didn't wait for perfect inspiration each morning. He showed up, day after day, hour by hour, removing stone, shaping detail. Discipline transformed a block of marble into timeless art. That same principle applies to you. Your 1 hour, consistently kept, chisels away doubt, fear, and delay, revealing the masterpiece within you. But let's be honest, discipline is not glamorous. It often happens in silence, when no one is clapping. That's why it's powerful, because when you keep showing up without applause, you are proving something deeper, not to others, but to yourself. Every time you honor your hour, you are building trust with yourself. And that trust is the root of confidence. You begin to walk differently, speak differently, think differently, not because of instant results, but because you know you can rely on your own word. Ask yourself, do you want to live as someone who can be trusted by others, yet cannot be trusted by themselves? Or do you want to carry the kind of integrity that begins with honoring your own promises? Your sacred hour is where that integrity is forged. And here's the truth. Life will test you. Pressure will come. Challenges will arrive. Storms are guaranteed. The man or woman who collapses is not weak. They are simply unprepared. Because resilience is not built in crisis. It is revealed there. Resilience is built long before, in daily preparation, in those quiet hours when you train your mind and spirit. Take Winston Churchill, for example. Before becoming one of history's most influential leaders, he spent years reading, studying, writing, reflecting. He devoted countless quiet hours, sharpening his mind long before the world demanded his strength. When the trial came, he was ready, not because the moment was easy, but because he had already trained for it. That is what your hour does. It makes you unshakable. When others panic, you stand. When others fold, you rise. When others lose themselves in fear, you act with clarity. Why? Because you've been here before, not in circumstance, but in preparation. You've fought the battle in your hour, so you know how to lead when the real storm arrives. Think of your hour as armor. Every session adds another layer. Every day strengthens the chain. And over time, you become untouchable by chaos. But don't misunderstand. Discipline is not about pressure for pressure's sake. Your sacred hour is not meant to drain you, but to empower you. It should not feel like a burden, but like a declaration. I am worth this time. My dream deserves this focus. Consider Oprah Winfrey. Before her voice reached millions, she spent endless hours honing her craft, reading, studying communication, practicing relentlessly. That 1 hour multiplied by years created a strength that allowed her to inspire generations. Discipline gave her not just skill, but freedom. And that's the paradox. The more disciplined you become, the freer you feel, because you are no longer trapped by indecision, delay, or regret. You know where your hour is going. You know what you are building. Each day you win your hour, you are not just making progress. You are winning a private victory. That victory builds momentum. It creates inner energy that no one can take away. So let me tell you this. You don't have to win the whole day. You don't have to conquer the whole week. Just win the hour. Win it with full commitment. Win it with clarity. Win it with the belief that this hour is sacred, unbreakable, unstoppable. Because when you win that 1 hour, the rest of the day listens. The hour is your command post. It is your training ground. It is your shield and your sword. Use it to build resilience, to sharpen vision, to strengthen spirit, because the day you need that strength most will come, and you will already be prepared. Remember this. The world does not reward those who wait for the perfect time. It rewards those who prepare. And preparation begins here. In this hour, repeated faithfully, guarded fiercely, lived intentionally. So the choice is yours. Will you let the hour slip away into noise, or will you forge it into armor, into strength, into destiny? Decide today. Guard the hour. Build the discipline. Because when discipline becomes your rhythm, freedom becomes your reward. What you do in 1 quiet hour may seem small, invisible, even insignificant. But the truth is, greatness rarely begins in the spotlight. It begins in solitude. The sacred hour you give to your vision is not just shaping your present. It is planting seeds that will echo through the future. Legacies are not built in noise. They are born in consistency. Think of Mother Teresa. Long before the world knew her name, she spent countless hours in prayer, reflection, and small acts of service. Those hours, repeated daily, were invisible to the masses, but they built a foundation so strong that her influence reached across nations. The same principle applies to you. The hour you keep faithfully today can ripple into generations you may never meet. Because the truth is, the world will not remember your schedule, your busyness, or your endless to-do lists. It will remember what you contributed, what you created, what you gave. And those contributions are built, piece by piece, in the sacred hours no one sees. Every page written, every note practiced, every sketch drawn, every lesson studied, each is a seed. 1 hour of effort may feel forgettable now, but over time it becomes a tree, offering shade, fruit, and life to others. Ask yourself, are you building for comfort, or are you building for contribution? Are you stacking up distractions, or are you investing in something that lasts? Because your hour decides the answer. Picture a teacher. Each night, after long days in the classroom, she dedicates 1 hour to refining her craft, writing lessons, reading new ideas. No one applauds. No one notices. But years later, her students rise with sharper minds and stronger confidence because of seeds planted in that unseen hour. That is legacy. Legacy does not require fame. Legacy requires faithfulness. And here is the paradox. The hour may look like it is just for you, your growth, your progress, your dream. But in reality, it extends far beyond you. It shapes how you show up for your family, your community, your work. It shapes how you influence, inspire, and guide. When you devote 1 sacred hour to becoming the best version of yourself, you are not just changing your life. You are raising the standard for everyone around you. History is filled with proof. Nelson Mandela, during his years of imprisonment, used his hours to read, to write, to reflect. Though confined, he expanded his mind and sharpened his vision. Those hours, unseen by the world, became the preparation for leadership that would later transform a nation. Your circumstances may not be dramatic. Your hour may not look extraordinary, but the principle is the same. Every sacred hour you guard is shaping the kind of person who can influence, uplift, and leave a mark that outlives you. So ask yourself again, what are you building in your hour? A distraction that dies with the day, or a seed that grows into something timeless? And here's what makes legacy powerful. You may not see the results right away. You may not witness the fruits of your effort, but the impact is real. The seed is planted, and sometimes the greatest honor is to plant trees whose shade you will never sit beneath. Imagine this. A father writes reflections every night for his children, lessons about kindness, courage, integrity, not for publication, not for recognition, just 1 hour of quiet writing. Years later, those words guide his children when he is gone. They become a compass for future generations. That is legacy, built 1 page at a time. The sacred hour you guard today may one day become a story, a song, a teaching, a memory that others carry forward. You may never know how far it reaches, but you can trust this. No effort poured into growth, into vision, into purpose, is ever wasted. And the reverse is true as well. Every hour lost to noise, to triviality, to delay, that is also a legacy, but one of regret. So the question is not whether you are leaving a legacy. You are. The real question is, what kind of legacy will it be? Will it be one of distraction, or one of devotion, one of hesitation, or one of discipline? 1 sacred hour, repeated faithfully, can transform you into someone who not only lives with purpose, but leaves behind a trail of light for others to follow. Because the world does not change through speeches alone. It changes through example. And your hour is your daily example, proving that focus, discipline, and faithfulness can still build empires. So when you step into your sacred hour tomorrow, remember, it is bigger than you. It is not just about your growth. It is about your impact. Protect it, guard it, honor it, because in those 60 minutes, you are planting seeds that may grow into forests of influence. And one day, when people wonder how you built the life you did, they will realize the truth. It wasn't built in a single moment of luck or fame. It was built in thousands of quiet, consistent, sacred hours. Every day begins with a choice. Will you drift with the noise, or will you lead with intention? The first hour of your day is not just another block of time. It is the compass that sets the course. If you give it away to distraction, the day slips into reaction. But if you guard it with focus, the rest of your hours align with strength. Just as a ship's voyage is determined by its launch, Your life is shaped by how you begin each morning. Think of Benjamin Franklin. Long before dawn, he asked himself the same question each day: what good shall I do today? That morning ritual, simple but powerful, guided his work, his inventions, his leadership. He didn't wait for the day to tell him what to do, he told the day where to go. That is the power of the first sacred hour. It leads, not trails. It shapes, not follows. If you wait until evening, the world has already claimed your attention. The demands of others, the noise of obligations, the fatigue of routine. By nightfall, your best energy has already been spent. But when you rise and dedicate your first light to purpose, you flip the script. You start from clarity, not chaos. From power, not pressure. And here's the truth. Mornings are not just quieter. They are symbolic. Beginning with focus tells your mind and spirit that growth comes first, that your future deserves priority over everything else. Imagine a factory worker. His days are long, his schedule demanding. Yet each morning, 1 hour before the whistle blew, he sat at his desk and wrote, not for recognition, not for money, but because he knew his life was meant for more. That first hour carried him through the rest of the day with energy and dignity. Years later, his writings shaped countless lives. His power didn't begin in the factory. It began in the sacred hour before it. Your morning hour is your anchor. It is where you set tone, direction, and energy. But let's be clear, it doesn't have to look the same for everyone. For one person, it may mean exercise. For another, writing. For another, study, meditation, or planning. The activity matters less than the intention. What matters is that you begin with purpose, not reaction. Too many people begin their mornings with screens, with headlines, with the noise of the world. They wake up and hand their focus to everyone else before they've given a moment to themselves. But your first hour must belong to you, not to the world. Because when you start by leading your own life, the rest of the day follows your command. Think of it this way. If you don't take the steering wheel in the morning, someone else will. Circumstances will dictate. Urgency will dictate. But when you begin with clarity, your priorities are not something you chase all day. They are something you carry with you. And here's something remarkable. When you win the first hour, the rest of the day tends to obey. You carry the energy of that hour into every conversation, every decision, every challenge. Take a look at the world's great athletes, entrepreneurs, and creators. Almost all of them share one thing in common: a morning ritual. Whether it's training, journaling, meditation, or study, they claim the first hour before the demands of the world arrive. That is not coincidence. That is strategy, because the first hour is your declaration. I lead my life. My life does not lead me. It doesn't mean the day will be perfect. Disruptions will come. Chaos will appear. But if you start with intention, you face those storms from a place of strength, not weakness. Imagine a lighthouse. No matter how dark the night or how violent the waves, its first light signals direction, stability, certainty. That is what your morning hour can be for you. A guiding beam, a message to your soul. This matters. I matter. My future begins now. And the best part? You don't need hours. You don't need half a day. You need 60 minutes, claimed with discipline and devotion. So ask yourself, what will your first hour look like tomorrow? Will it be lost to distraction? Or will it be the foundation of greatness? Because 1 year from now, you won't remember the mornings you scrolled through noise. You'll remember the mornings you built yourself. And when you begin each day with one sacred hour, you are not just surviving the day. You are shaping it. You are not reacting. You are responding. You are not drifting. You are directing. So rise with purpose. Begin with strength. Let the first hour belong to the best in you. Because when you win the morning, you win the day. Your life is not measured by years. It is measured by moments. And the most powerful moments are the ones you deliberately create. That's why one sacred hour a day is not just about progress. It is about identity. Who you believe yourself to be shapes every decision you make. And identity is not fixed. It is forged. It is crafted through repetition, molded through choice, strengthened through discipline. Every time you show up for your hour, you are rewriting the story of who you are. Maybe yesterday you doubted. Maybe yesterday you delayed. But today you chose the hour, and that choice declares, I am no longer defined by hesitation. I am defined by action. You don't need to wait for the world to see it. Change does not need an audience. Transformation begins in private. The walls, the silence, the solitude, they are your witnesses. Each time you honor the hour, you are carving a new identity. Think of Abraham Lincoln. Long before he led a nation, he spent countless evenings studying law by candlelight, teaching himself, one page at a time. Those solitary hours built the man who would later stand unshaken in history's storms. His greatness was not born in speeches, it was born in discipline. The same is true for you. Your greatness is not waiting for the spotlight. It is waiting for you to guard your hour. And here's the secret. This hour is not only about achievement, it is about becoming, about aligning your actions with your highest vision, about reminding your body, mind, and spirit who is truly leading this life. Because every excuse you silence makes your mind stronger. Every distraction you resist builds your willpower. Every repetition reinforces your belief that you are capable of more. Over time, excuses grow weaker, doubts grow quieter, and identity grows stronger. And that is freedom. When you live by discipline, you are free. Free from regret, free from hesitation, free from being pulled in every direction by impulse and circumstance. Your sacred hour becomes your daily rebellion against mediocrity, your declaration that your life is worth building with intention. Consider J.K. Rowling. Before her stories filled shelves around the world, she wrote in cafes and at kitchen tables, 1 hour at a time, often exhausted, often overlooked. But she showed up. She gave herself to the hour. And that hour, repeated over years, became a legacy that touched millions. That is the unseen power of a single, faithful hour. It is not just about productivity. It is about proof. Proof to yourself that you are becoming the person you were meant to be. So let me ask you, who are you becoming through your hour? Are you reinforcing doubt, or are you reinforcing discipline? Are you compounding distractions, or are you compounding strength? Because success is not an event. It is the sum of your repetitions, and your repetitions are built 1 hour at a time. This is why the hour must not be treated casually. It is not leftover time. It is not optional. It is sacred. You would not skip a doctor's appointment. You would not cancel a meeting with destiny. So why treat your own growth with less respect? Guard your hour like a king guards his crown. Protect it like a builder protects the foundation. Because that hour is the line between who you are and who you are meant to be. And here's the beautiful truth. You don't need to win the entire war today. You just need to win the hour. Win it with focus. Win it with commitment. Win it with the full belief that you are shaping a new life. Then repeat tomorrow and the next day, until one day you look back and realize you didn't just keep an hour. You built a revolution of growth, a revolution of purpose, a revolution of becoming. So tomorrow, when the sun rises and the world is still quiet, claim your hour, not for applause, not for outcome, but for mastery, for alignment, for the new you. Because when you win your hour, you win your life. And that is how transformation begins, not with a grand gesture, not with perfect timing, but with one simple choice, to honor one sacred hour a day and let it shape everything. Your future is not waiting years away. It is waiting inside the next hour you choose. So rise, Show up. Begin now, because the difference between regret and greatness is often just 60 minutes.